Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction, haunted entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. Mm-hmm. And we return to you again in the midst of the holiday season. We're now in that weird part where you forget what day it is.
Right, yeah.
Like if it weren't for Haunt Weekly coming out, you might not know it's Monday.
You might not.
But here we are. We are indeed coming out on a Monday to you. Hope that your Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you were celebrating last weekend went very, very well and was mucho awesome.
Right.
And we're hoping that your New Year's will be awesome. This is going to be the last podcast of Haunt Weekly for the year and nay, the decade.
Yes.
Wild, huh?
It's the passage of time. Sure. Wild. We'll go with that.
I mean, it's not like we've been doing this for 10 years.
No.
It'd be cool if we had.
Yeah, well, if we make it to 10 years of this every week, we'll have to throw a party.
Yeah, we will. You know, it's not as far off as we think, though. It'll only be episode 520. We're at 213.
Almost halfway there.
Yeah. Just saying. So it's not as crazy as it sounds. You put it like that.
Yeah.
And to see if we do make it 10 years, please take a moment. Follow us on Facebook at Haunt Weekly. Follow us on Twitter at Haunt Weekly. We're also on hauntweekly.com. YouTube.com/HauntWeekly is our YouTube channel. Please give that a subscribe. That is a great and easy way to get all of our episodes, like, super conveniently, unlike iTunes and so forth, which often restricts you to, like, the last X number.
Right.
So when we say, we're referencing random episode 100 and blah, 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 you can go to the YouTube and grab it.
Yeah.
If you're really interested in that subject, that's what you can do.
We're referencing episode 3.
3.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you can get episode 3 at youtube.com/hauntweekly, but you can also find us at iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, or probably the best place to get the next episode. Get it delivered right to your ear holes. Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, this week we're doing something a little different. It's the holiday season. We try to calm things down, tell some stories, have some fun, but also tie it back into haunting.
Right.
And this time around, we're talking about hoaxes.
Yeah.
And we are going to wrap it up in the end and discuss how you can apply some of this to your haunt, in particular haunt marketing.
Yeah.
Because this is where it really connects. But first thing is first is conference reminders. Crystal, oddball, go.
Okay, January 17th through the 19th, not that far away, believe me, I know. HauntCon Halloween and Party Expo is coming up here in New Orleans at the Ernest N. Memorial Convention Center. We will be speaking, and we're going to be having the thing that if you go to our Facebook page, you can, RSVP for. Please do that. HauntCon.com for more information about the general convention.
Yes, indeed. There's going to be a lot going on. We have a thing on the 17th.
Yes.
We're doing a tour of our haunt. And since we were not able to open this season,
right, it
will be literally the first time anyone has set foot in this haunt.
Yeah.
We're going to have as much of our crew there as we can muster. It might be a little difficult given the time of year, but we're going to try our best. We are providing transportation to as many as we can from the convention center.
Right.
We are filling up fast. I think we have about 12 to 14 people.
Yeah.
That's roughly our max, I think.
Yeah.
But if you are still interested, let us know. Get in touch with us. And also mark yourself as going on the event at facebook.com/hauntweekly so we can get that accurate head count and know what we're up against.
Exactly.
All right.
Sounds good.
After that, February 21st through the 23rd in Pomona, California, it's Haunt X, the Haunters DIY Expo at the Fairplex. We'll be touring a Asylum Haunted House, lights on and all, and also features a costume ball. Haunt X, that's HAUNT and the letter X.com.
Okay, May 15th through the 17th, it's West Coast Haunters Convention in Portland, Oregon. They will be at the Doubletree Hotel, Portland. They will be touring the Fear Haunted House. It also includes a costume ball, a silent auction, and the Nightmare After West Coast Haunters Convention Film Festival with a secret selection of films. Jesus Christ, that's a mouthful. All right.
And the convention is the West Coast Haunters Convention.
Yes. HauntersConvention.com for more info. I think they changed that since last year.
I don't think so.
No?
Well,
Okay.
regardless.
Yeah.
Next up, after that, March 19th through the 22nd in St. Louis, Missouri, is Transworld's Halloween and Attraction Show, located at the America Center, co-located with Transworld's Christmas Show, and now the Room Escape Show. So 3 of the 5 conferences that group puts on are happening at the same time in St. Louis.
Well, it makes it easier for us. We just have it once listed.
Yeah, no. We save time. And actually, this is interesting. Their haunt tour will be in New Orleans in November.
Okay.
I found that out recently, so we'll be talking more about that as it gets closer.
Right.
They'll be touring Darkness and Lint Brewery, both behind the scenes. There's also a party at City Museum on Thursday, a performance by Vampire Circus on Friday, and a werewolf ball on Saturday. The werewolf ball, not a vampire ball, so that's totally different from last year.
Yes.
Learn more at the Haas Show, HAASHOW.com.
Okay. May 15th through the 17th also. It's Ohio Halloween and Haunters Convention at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. It features a ghost hunt, costume party, and haunted house tours. Ohio Halloween and HauntersConvention.com for more info.
All right, and finally, Midwest Haunters Convention is from June 5th through the 7th in Schaumburg, Illinois, at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center Hotel. I think we were literally a quarter mile from that hotel when we were in Schaumburg.
We were.
Tours TBA. It's early. This is June, guys. Give them a break. Features a costume party and a kids zone for reasons. Learn more at MidwestHauntersConvention.com.
Yes.
I think kids zone's a neat idea, but it's also just not something you see at conferences a lot.
Not really.
Not necessarily it's a bad idea. It's just, really?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Not disagreeing, just, wow. Huh. Okay. All right, as usual, a quick update on our haunt, and there is so much updating to do.
Oh, yeah. We've been busy.
We have been making the most of our winter break. We have been putting damn near full-time hours into this and related projects.
Right.
So there's been lots of progress. Basically, if you'll recall, back when winter break started, we kind of made the obtuse decision to A, start replacing nearly all the OSB panels with proper plywood.
Right.
B, replacing all the non-8-foot panels with 8-foot panels.
Yeah.
And C, redoing our tool organization. You know, this is the thing people do a month before they have to open for other haunters, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Totally.
Totally a thing to do.
Totally. You know, you get brand new walls, so you have to decorate them all over again.
Which they were going to have to be anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2 of them weren't, but that's okay.
But the point is, we've completed all those projects.
Yes.
The tools are reorganized, and that section's looking really good.
Yeah.
All the new panels we built are in place. We've decided we're not updating a couple right now, mostly because it's going to require taking more apart than we're comfortable we could complete
Right.
by January.
Yeah.
And they're not the important ones. The important ones that you will see and come in contact with have all been upgraded.
Yeah.
These are more structural ones. We have I guess the mail's here. Thought I muted that. But anyways, the point is, all that's done. The tools are done. The panels have been rebuilt. The plywood's been applied. We're almost out of plywood. So we're now down to one build that we're going to finish probably by the time you hear this, honestly.
Right.
Literally after this is, we finish recording, so we're going back out and probably putting that together. And then we have one more build we can't start until tomorrow because Amazon, despite 2-day delivery promises with Prime, delayed delivery of a very key component.
Yes.
Literally like the component the whole goddamn thing's built around. Literally the whole thing until now, until tomorrow. So we will start cracking on that tomorrow. But all in all, we're down to clean out, painting, and lighting.
Right.
We're still debating how much of that entranceway is going to be done.
Yeah.
We know we're going to have some of it. In fact, if anything, I think our estimate of how much we'll have done has moved up since then.
Yeah, exactly, because work has been progressing very well.
Yeah, and honestly...
I'm pretty comfortable with where we're at.
Some things came together easier than I thought they would.
Yeah.
So that was good. And also getting that quarter of that haunt back together structurally made me feel so much better.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, we're in a much better place. As far as the road goes, road still jacked.
Yeah. So we're going to have to wait because we do need a few more sheets of plywood.
Yeah.
And we can't get the Home Depot truck down the road. So we're not really sure when
realistically
we're
right
getting
now,
that.
we can't get those sheets of plywood to the haunt.
No.
And so for some projects for the 17th, what we may have to do is backfill with scrap OSB or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we do, I'm sorry, just use your imagination. It'll be repainted or replaced. It'll still be fine. We have plenty of that.
Yeah.
But the whole goal was to get that crap out. Now we got it out, and we're going to be moving some of it back in.
Exactly.
Because, fuck!
Yeah.
Because we can't finish skinning everything because even though we bought extra plywood, it always happens. We find a few extra things we want to do and this and that and da-da-da-da-da. Next thing you know, you're out.
Exactly.
We went a little plywood crazy, but it's a good thing. It was a good thing, ultimately. It makes the haunt more structurally stable, easier to decorate, easier to paint, lighter.
Yeah.
OSB weighs a metric fuck ton and a quarter, I believe is the exact weight limit.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, I'm happy about it. I'm happy that we did it. But, yeah, the workers did show up today. They delayed our recording significantly.
Yes,
We're going
they
to record
did.
pretty much this morning. Mm-hmm. We're not able to unless you wanted a constant string of beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And basically what they were doing was they were clearing the area where they were going to be putting down the sidewalks. They were getting ready, I think, to lay the bracing and the woodwork for pouring the concrete. Is what it looks like what's going on.
Yeah, they also flattened out the muddy river to where it doesn't have giant ruts from trucks in it.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing about that kind of aggravates me, is that if they literally just did it one step after the next,
Yeah.
they could realistically close the road off for a couple of weeks, for 2 weeks, we'll say.
Right.
Just shut it down,
Yeah.
not have anyone drive or park on it, and not have to do this perpetual re-dirting.
Yeah, because they're wasting money because
time, yeah.
it gets washed away down to the drain in these heavy rains, and if they had just even put a thin layer on to keep what was there.
I mean, like I said, I know they have to do this in a specific order of operations, but a good example is the curbs were laid like almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they're just now clearing out the dirt to put down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
If they had laid the curb and immediately started clearing the dirt, they could have had the sidewalks down a week ago and probably started paving, today.
Yeah.
There's a lot less, and that's a reasonable amount of time to bar people from driving on a road, especially one that isn't really an outlet or a through street to anything.
Right.
If they had done that, they wouldn't have to constantly be doing stuff in front of our house every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about road construction, I admit it, but it's very frustrating for a project to get finished, like the curbs. You go, yay! The curbs are in! And then not see anyone.
Nope.
Until they come out and go, oh shit, we got to re-level that dirt.
Exactly.
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
Go on. I know these are different crews, but that's just it. The organization and communication. The individual construction workers have been great.
Yeah. Communication has been lacking.
But it's the coordination between the teams, which I know these guys don't handle.
Yeah.
Like, nobody I see is in charge of this.
No.
I know this from experience working with construction companies.
Right.
The people that fuck this up ain't on that street.
No.
So anyways, long story short, we may have sidewalks for HauntCon, but we're definitely not going to have a road.
Yeah.
There you go. How's that?
Yes. And because of you saying that, I hope that you're wrong.
You know what? I've been wrong once before. We were wrong about what would happen at Halloween.
Yeah.
I will happily be wrong this time.
Exactly.
And I was happily wrong then, too.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want the other side of Vivian Court to sit and live in squalor because...
Right.
Just so everyone knows why we canceled Halloween. That's not fair.
No.
I don't know. I feel better that they got the road, even if I look like a putz. I'm fine looking like a putz. I live with you and Ellie. I look like a putz all the time. I'm quite used to it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got a topic. Hoaxes. Hoaxes, and I guess you could throw in urban legends to a degree here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these became or grew into urban legends over time.
Exactly.
And so, what we wanted to do was go through some of our favorite hoaxes from over the centuries, literally centuries.
Yes.
And then sort of talk about how you can apply some of this exact same, mentality, this P.T. Barnum-ism, if you will, to your haunt.
Yes.
And we may do a whole thing about P.T. Barnum later. We were realizing, as you were doing the research for this, you did 99% of the research. We were realizing, though, that, maybe an episode on P.T. Barnum and the carnival industry and the barking industry in general might be helpful.
Yeah, so future episode. We haven't done one of those warnings in a while.
Anyways, let's start with the hoaxes.
Okay.
Okay, so
basically the history is that hoaxes and pranks have been around forever.
Yeah.
Basically since there are people, we've been pulling pranks on each other.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the very first time, caveman got his hands on, killed a saber-tooth tiger or whatever, and had the fangs, he was hiding in the bushes, scaring his butt.
I thought you were going to go for a pull my finger joke.
I'm pretty sure they were messing with each other in various ways.
Yeah, one of the earliest that came up, it was also one of the most outrageous ones during the research for this, is in 1726, a woman convinced people that she gave birth to bunnies.
You got to be careful with that stuff because that happened in 1726, right?
Yeah.
The Salem witch trials had happened 30 years prior.
Uh-huh.
I just want to say, maybe I want to chill with the hoaxes that might be misconstrued as witchcraft.
Yeah.
Just for reasons.
Maybe.
And the Salem witch trials, even though they're the ones we know best in these United States, they were nowhere near the biggest in the world. Much bigger, much more bloody affairs were going on throughout Europe, especially Eastern Europe, if I remember correctly. This was just like the sideshow to the real witch burnings. Salem was not the center of the witch burning universe. In fact, there were no witches burned. They were hanged and one was crushed. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So I'd have been careful with that shit back then personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
So, switching to something more modern. In 1957, the BBC News ran a segment about the spaghetti farms of Italy. Swiss town. It's Swiss town. I thought it was an Italian town. No. But anyways, they did it as an April Fool's prank. It aired on April Fool's. And a lot of these great hoaxes and great urban legends, nonetheless, started out as April Fool's jokes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even though it's pretty patently obviously a joke, that's not where spaghetti comes from, if anyone's wondering.
Money grows on trees, too, right?
You know what? If spaghetti grew on trees, money might have a shot. And technically, money is made out of paper, which comes from trees, so money does grow on trees plus steps.
Plus lots of steps.
But they did it, and much as with the War of the Worlds and things like that, people bought it. And they received hundreds of calls asking, how can we grow our own spaghetti?
Yeah, and basically the newscast was stick a piece of spaghetti into sauce and wait. Into a can of sauce and wait. Hope for the best.
We're not really the right climate for growing spaghetti here in England. You need a more Mediterranean climate. But you can give it a shot. I mean... And here's the thing, like, this was also, like we said, around the time of the War of the Worlds broadcast. And it was an interesting time period because, much like some of what we're dealing with today, we have this new media type floating around. And people are using it, in these cases, not maliciously. They're just trying to do a fairly harmless joke. And in the case of the War of the Worlds, they were just trying to put on a goddamn good radio play.
Yeah.
There's nothing malicious about either of them.
That was successful.
Very successful. Very good play, apparently. Yeah. Never actually listened to it. But apparently very good. 5 stars on Yelp. Maybe grab tin pot and go to fight aliens. But we had a new media and people were doing these hoaxes with it. Once again, back then, not as mean-spirited as we're seeing today. And people were buying into it because people hadn't yet adjusted to the idea that these new broadcast media could be used to lie to people.
Right. Exactly. People lie? No.
And that's one of the things. It's like with the internet, like with new media, there's always this bizarre assumption that whenever you get a new medium,
right,
everything that comes through it is gospel.
Exactly.
And it's literally, I mean, why would we assume human beings are going to change because we communicate over cell phones versus radio waves?
Yeah.
There's no difference. People are still shit.
Yeah. Pretty much, yes.
And the idea that, but we tend to believe this. We tend to believe, like, when the internet was the first thing, and like, there was like 6 websites.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably all were accurate and honest. They were like
Right.
NASA.
Yeah. They
NASA,
weren't made for everyday people either.
Yeah.
So,
But back in the very early days, they probably were, because, us slobs couldn't have websites.
exactly.
But now that any Yahoo can have websites, literally, haha, it's very easy to spread lies and misinformation, but yet there's still that innate trust of it that we're just now learning to break through.
Yeah.
Learning how to break through it.
Yeah, there are actually classes that you can take now on how to research a story to make sure that your information is good.
Yeah. I would be happy if all my friends would just read the date on the fucking article. And stop posting ancient crap as if it were modern history.
Yeah.
Like, this happened 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's kind of relevant.
Yeah, I would be happy if
We got to start there, because that's usually an easy one. But yeah, I mean, the thing about the Spaghetti Farm one was it was a completely innocent prank. They sat there in their BBC headquarters and chuckled and laughed and smoked their stogies.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the 50s.
Right.
And thought, no way the people would be dumb enough to buy it.
Uh-huh.
Everyone's just going to get a good old laugh at this silly little segment we did.
Exactly.
And it'll be funny. Then people bought it in droves.
Yeah. Hundreds of calls later.
100 calls later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Yeah, it's something to think about, that even like a good-natured joke can become one of these hoaxes and urban legends.
Yeah.
I bet there are people in the UK that still believe spaghetti grows on trees.
I could see like parents doing that to their kids. You need to grow your spaghetti. And
Plant the spaghetti in the backyard. You got to put sauce in the ground.
yeah. And take a can of sauce, put a piece. Anyway. So, something that, really ignited my imagination when I was a kid were mythical monsters. And these come from all over the world. Like, I really was intrigued by Loch Ness. And there's, Bigfoot and these big things that have become lives of their own in a way.
Well, and like locally here, it's the Rougarou.
Right, Rougarou, and in South Carolina.
South Carolina was Lizard Man.
Exactly, Lizard Man.
We got literally the lamest.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a...
We basically got the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out in a while, but I used to listen to Monster Talk, which was a great podcast, and I don't know if they're still doing it. Jonathan's fact-checking me now. This is a reversal roles. But it was great. So if you love, like, hearing about all of the myths from all over the world, Monster Talk is a good podcast to listen to.
Yeah, it's a great place for a lot more than what we're doing. I'm trying to pull it up now. It's taking its good sweet time.
Yeah. But anyway, so, most of these a lot of these monsters, like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness, were made from people wanting to make money. They wanted to put a myth out there that people would believe and would come to their area to try to find.
And it looks like they stopped in July 2019 is the last episode. So it stopped fairly recently, all things considered.
Yeah.
But they have a literal decade. See, they can make a decade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, it's a great podcast. I listened to a few episodes with you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these legends, as you noted, were very similar to haunt legends.
Right. Exactly.
And in fact, these work very well oftentimes for outdoor haunts.
You're right.
Because you're already in the big spooky woods. Mm-hmm. You're already, especially considering a lot of the people that go to outdoor trail haunts are from the city.
Yeah.
So they're in an environment very alien to them.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to take someone who grew up or lives super rural and take them to a trail haunt and have it be as scary as it is for a city person.
Yeah, that's very true.
Just because, I know these woods.
Yeah. I remember.
This is Dave's farm. Hi, Dave.
A friend of mine tried to do that when I was staying with her. Her stepdaughter and a bunch of their friends. They were having a sleepover. So we went out in the woods behind the house and tried to scare the kids. Kids are like, these are just woods. What are you talking about? This is spooky.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, I
It's a
guess you do kind of live here.
It's like trying to scare me in a regular haunted house because a haunted house is my home.
Exactly.
I'm making myself at home, basically.
Exactly.
Oh.
But, I mean, if your area does have those kind of legends...
Yeah. I'm disappointed to this day there's no haunt in South Carolina that's like Lizard Man's Trail.
So we need to do a Rougarou something for our haunt one year?
I could see doing a Rougarou theme.
Yeah.
Of course, we can't do a Rougarou theme.
Right.
Because we have a fucking garage in the center of suburban Algiers.
Yeah.
That's not where the Rougarou lives.
No, it's...
Not that he lives anywhere, but that's definitely not where he lives.
Right. Yeah.
We cannot do. We can do. They built over the Rougarou's old home.
Yeah, but I mean, you could pull from those stories as your backstory, and you could also, make up a legend and try to get it spread.
Yeah. There's nothing particularly interesting in your region.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then all you have to do is tell the legend.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean... Go ahead.
Legends start from somewhere, and we're going to go into this in more detail at the end of the podcast. We're going to talk about really tying this together.
Exactly.
But yeah, the main thing here is, legends all start from somewhere. And sometimes it's some half-crazy dude who thinks he saw something moving in the woods, and sometimes it's a guy who just thinks it'd be funny to have people kind of sort of believe. Mm-hmm. Like, not really, but like we're going to get into how you have to thread this needle with these types of things.
Right.
It's a thing where you want people to believe it could be true, not that it is true.
Yeah.
For A, ethical reasons, and B, safety. And if people believe there's actually a bloody monster in the wilderness near your outdoor haunt, it might hurt business.
Yeah, it might do that.
It'd be like if I found out that your trail haunt runs right near the wild boar out near our house. My ass ain't going.
Right, exactly.
I ain't fucking with no wild boar.
No, that would not be smart. You don't want to get people hurt.
And yeah, and you mentioned War of the Worlds next. I see. I know I'm doing it to you.
Yes, exactly.
But the War of the Worlds, I think, pairs well with the 1960s one.
Right.
Because it's, once again, new medium.
Right.
New mass medium.
Yeah.
And people are trusting it. So, sorry about that.
That's okay. But, I mean, there was also a heightened sense of, of fear around different and new technology that was out there. And there was a alien craze around this time that he put this out. So he used those fears to make it extra good. Extra good. So.
Now there's also a lengthy history of marketing fake products.
Yeah.
And this is one that always gets me kind of interested because you see this a lot in advertising. Now, one of the most famous examples, and I've been trying to find a good source on this for a while, is a newspaper wanted to prove that newspaper advertising worked. So they ran an advertising campaign for a beer that did not exist.
Yep.
So what they did is, and the ad was, if your store doesn't have, I think it was XO beer, was the beer, then go to your store and demand it.
Yeah.
and then so people started going in droves to stores to demand a beer that did not exist anywhere. Now, one version of the tale has sort of a weird kinky ending to it, where the newspaper then paired up with a microbrewery to actually make the beer that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
Which that just makes sense. Of course you did.
Yeah. You got to give people what they want.
But the most common examples of ads for products that don't exist is when you're trying to advertise a product that does exist. A good example of that is like Geico, for example, will run fake ads for products that don't exist, but feature the Geico characters and the Geico imagery to let you know that this is really a Geico ad, but wouldn't this be funny if this product exists? It's a comedy routine rather than a genuine attempt to create a hoax.
Yeah. Adjacent to the Mayhem commercials.
Yes.
Those are awesome.
Yes, those are awesome. And once again, the Mayhem commercials are actually not a bad example in some ways, because many of them do appear to be advertising other products.
Right.
But
this nice new truck that's out in the driveway.
Yeah, exactly. So they appear to be advertising one thing that doesn't exist, and then pull the old, flimity flam on you at the very end. And that can be a powerful thing because, once again, a lot of people remain unsure if the original product exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And we've actually seen this before where real products had to be made from the imaginary products. The best example from modern history I know about was the boy band that didn't dance.
Yes.
It was a non-existent. I'm trying to remember. It was Boy Bands Without Dancing. That's
it's that stupid commercial.
I can't remember the original product now. Oh, that's not a good sign. But anyways, it was a boy band that doesn't dance. They sang like 20 seconds of a song in a commercial, and people lost their shit wanting the band to be a real thing.
And wanting the song to be full length.
And so they had to release the full song. And the song was probably full length.
Right.
The way you make commercials like this, you typically do record a song, and then you just take the best 20 seconds out of it. It's just easier to do that.
It was an AT&T wireless commercial.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and the boy band now exists.
Yes.
At least in a small way. Mm-hmm. So something to think about.
Yeah, Summertime Lover
Summertime
was
Lover,
the name of the
stupid that song is now available for download and streaming.
Yes.
Just saying, fake product actually now exists.
Just like us.
Yes.
We're available for download and streaming.
Exactly. At homeweekly.com. So, yeah. Now, another one that you put in the notes was crop circles.
Yeah.
This one was always fascinating to me as a kid because during the aliens like come in and out of vogue in waves.
Right. And
there was that weird alien loving period in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and we grew up, we were kids in the 80s, so of course we ate this stuff up. We're like, what's doing it? Not necessarily believing it was aliens, but what is making these things?
It was what's making it, how, and why.
Exactly.
Are the three questions you want to know.
Exactly.
And yeah, and crop circles started out as silly basic, just rings and fields.
Yeah.
And eventually got far, far more complicated with much more more detailed designs and doing some actually really artistic stuff.
Right. Now I believe there are crop circle artists now who do this and take the aerial photos, and you can buy the photos, and that's their art.
Yeah, and it turns out the original ones No, others have since, of course, gone on to emulate it and expand upon it. Were Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley. They confessed to it in 91.
Yeah.
But they'd been doing it for years at that point. They'd been doing it like the mid-80s, I think.
Yeah.
And the thing that was so crazy about it to me was how they did it.
Yeah.
They did it, the original ones, with nothing but string, rope, and a plank of wood. Mm-hmm. They took the rope and they made like a little stompy thing with a plank of wood and used the string to keep the exact perfect circle. Mm-hmm. That's all they needed.
Yeah.
And they were able to slip in the fields, and they were genuinely slipping in the fields and doing it without permission. So don't do that part.
No, don't ruin people's crops.
But they were doing it without consent. But they were just slipping, and they could get it done in a couple of hours. And they actually, I remember the video of them doing it.
Right.
Showed them completing this big, huge crop circle in like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And they were doing it, what I thought was, they're going way too slow. No, they were going just right. They did it in about an hour and a half. They proved it could be done. They added some embellishments to it. Right. And they left. Yeah.
And, and it's, the how they did it is as amazing and actually more amazing than the supposed things that made them.
Yeah. And people were like, because the first ones were like, aliens landed here, something big landed.
Exactly.
And then they get more confident. Aliens are trying to communicate with us now.
Yeah.
So aliens are trying to communicate by drawing in our wheat fields?
Yeah. It doesn't.
That doesn't seem very alien-like.
It doesn't. No.
You filthy earth peasants. Well, they drew the Prince symbol in the cornfield. What does that mean? We should all listen to Prince. Or they have Prince. They've kidnapped Prince. One or the other.
No.
Oh, God. Prince isn't dead. He's kidnapped by aliens.
No, we're not starting that.
Okay.
So one of the biggest ones for our industry probably is Amityville Horror. Now, you may know them just from the movies, but there is legend behind it. And basically is that a family of 6 was living in a house and their youngest son killed them all in 1974. That's the legend.
Yeah.
And So George and Kathy Lutz bought the home that these murders allegedly took place in, and moved 3 children in, and started claiming that they were supernaturally attacked almost immediately from just being in this house where this happened. Well, the investigators looked into it because they were skeptical, and they proved years later that Defoe, who was the part of the family that was originally killed, made the entire thing up. No family was ever killed there. He and these 2 people got together and said, hey, let's make this story and let's get a haunting going and make a lot of money off of it. And that's how the Amityville Horror franchise was born.
Which, I mean, honestly, to me, what's impressive about that is it seems like a lot of work to get a haunting story going.
It does, but...
That's some Scooby-Doo level shit for a haunting story.
Yeah, well, it does, but, I mean, things like with the aliens, ghost stories come up as very popular every once in a while. You know, it seems to come in cycles. I'm not sure exactly what cycle we're in now, where people are thinking... you know, that
we're in the horrors of reality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because we have flat earthers out there. That is a hoax, okay?
Yeah. We're going to have to talk about the ethics of this at the end. Don't worry, that talk's coming. If you're thinking, they're encouraging lying to people. No, we'll get there in a minute.
No.
We're coming around. We're just sharing stories right now.
Right. We're just sharing stories of other people who lied, and then people bought it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they intentionally made Amityville to make money.
You know who I feel bad for in this? All the other residents of the fine town of Amityville.
Yeah.
It's a real town. Like, real people and stores and restaurants and shit, right?
Yeah.
And everyone that lives there is like, you know, everyone rolls into town like, where's the Amityville Horror House? Is this place haunted?
Yeah.
No, Jesus. It's a diner.
Yeah.
It's a Waffle House.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen one of the movies at least, and the spirits transferred into a mirror or something, and somebody bought the mirror at a garage sale, and then their family was, you know, tormented. So it's like, did this mirror come from there? Like, can you imagine trying to have an antique shop in Amityville?
Yeah, there's almost 10,000 people that live in Amityville right now.
Yeah.
Just so you know, there's like 9,000, 500 plus people that had nothing to do with this.
Right.
And their town is now forever known.
But, that brings tourists to the area. So it's a give and take there. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess you take the good with the bad. I mean, Salem's got a similar rap.
Right.
Anyways, so Anastasia Romanov is another interesting... This one was probably not an intentional hoax. It's very likely this girl was, unfortunately, very mentally ill and was very genuine in her belief.
Right.
But basically, the Romanovs were the Tsars. Romanov family were the leaders of Russia right before the Russian Revolution, right there in the middle of World War I.
Right.
And they were eventually killed in very, very brutal fashion.
Yes.
It's quite a sad story, realistically. I mean, I get that he wasn't the best leader ever and that he fucked a lot of things up.
Yeah.
But the kids and everyone else...
Yeah, it's a really interesting historical story.
I have a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time with this story because growing up, I had a whole year of studying Rasputin. Which is, of course, the sage, I guess, is the easiest way to describe him. That was the family friend and was possibly too close to the family for comfort.
Yeah.
But the family was very brutally killed right before their rescue. Their near rescue, actually.
Right. Yeah.
And then the Russian Revolution. However, there were, even amongst the people that hated the Tsar family, and there were lots of them, enough to start a revolution.
Yes.
No one was really happy to hear that Anastasia died.
Yeah.
And it seemed kind of cruel because she was a very little girl. She didn't have anything to do with it.
Right, exactly. And there was hope that she and sometimes her brother Alexei, because the story changed,
somehow survived it.
Yeah, somehow
And there was some credence to this because when they were being held in captivity, they had actually, before they were taken, had sewn jewels and other things into their clothes, which kind of made an impromptu bulletproof armor and made them very hard to shoot.
Right.
But they were indeed still shot.
Yes.
And they were indeed still killed. However, in 1938, a woman began to claim that she was Anastasia.
Right.
And
she wasn't the first, but she was the one that most people believed.
And she was the most credible one, even though she was literally doing this from a bed in an insane asylum, basically.
Right.
But she was also the correct age. She was also very similar in appearance. Mm-hmm. And she also seemed to know a lot of information that only Anastasia would have theoretically known.
Right.
Now, the hoax went around. It's not that people truly believed her, but people believed it could be true with her.
Right. They wanted it to be true.
And it hung around until the 70s when they found the burial place. Now, when they initially found the burial location for most of the Romanov family, they did not find Anastasia and Alexei.
Right.
But they did find the remains decades later in the 2000s.
Yeah, in 2007.
And they were found in an unmarked grave, and they did DNA testing and everything else, and they've confirmed who it is. So it was definitely not her. And it also DNA tested the girl by this point and proved she was not related either.
Right. But I mean, this story...
But it started in 1938 and survived into DNA testing.
Yeah, exactly. 1938 to being closed in 2007.
In fact, I believe the woman, who we still don't know her real identity...
No.
That I'm aware of, died, I think, before she was tested. Mm-hmm. They tested her post-mortem.
Yes.
So, yeah, long story short, I think they knew some people she likely was, but because she didn't come with a history, they couldn't prove it.
Right.
So, yeah, that's an interesting story, and and that one is an example of playing to what people want to believe is true.
Exactly. I mean, even Disney got in on it and made the movie back in 1997.
No one said it was a good movie.
No.
But it was a movie.
There was a movie. I have not seen it.
Okay.
But I know it exists. Okay. So this next one, it's interesting. It's the Cardiff Giant. And so basically in 1868, this guy named George Hull hired a stone cutter to carve a slab of gypsum into a 10-foot tall with 21-inch long feet.
10-foot tall man.
10-foot tall man with 21-inch long feet. The feet had to be 21 inches. I don't know why. But so he hires a stone cutter to create this huge sculpture, and then he hires somebody else to bury it in the ground outside of Cardiff. So then whenever workers come by a year or so later and start digging up a well, they find this huge stone man in the ground. Now, George did this because he wanted to make believers in the Bible look foolish. Because apparently he had some people that he had in mind whenever he built this.
Probably named Dave. It's always a Dave.
Yeah, but no, he wanted, because in the Bible it says something about giants roaming the earth. Mm-hmm. David and Goliath. Yeah. So this was dubbed a Goliath statue.
It's now believed Goliath would have actually been what we consider today normal height.
Right.
He would have just been tall for the malnutritioned era.
Exactly.
That took place in.
Exactly. So
Goliath just ate well.
Yeah. And while experts were wary from the beginning, people bought this.
Yeah.
They thought this was a giant, that there was a skeleton in there of a giant. And so they would come in droves and pay 50 cents a piece to see this giant statue of a man that had been dug out of the ground.
And The Simpsons actually played off on this. They did an episode about an angel skeleton being found.
Right.
It was very similar. And that one, it was used as promotion for a shopping mall.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could totally see that happening.
Yeah.
But this is one of the few instances of double duping because P.T. Barnum heard of this. As you mentioned at the beginning, we might be doing an episode on him later. Had a replica made and sold it off as an original. So then people were also paying him, probably more, to come and see his stone man.
And that's something that doesn't work in 2019, obviously, or 2020 by the time you might hear this, because we have instant communication with the entire globe. Yeah. Back then, for all you know, that giant might have been put on a boat and brought to America. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But P.T. Barnum has a lot of those things where he started hoaxes to get people to come and see his displays and things.
Yeah. And that slides us into the modern hoax that people bought into. This one is just a stupid one, honestly.
Yeah.
The Balloon Boy hoax from October 2009. Basically, a family created a UFO saucer balloon, as you do.
Yeah.
I got one in my backyard now. What's your problem?
Exactly.
Where's yours? Long story short, this was a family that had a long history of being on reality TV shows.
Yeah.
And their fame apparently was a little bit, but what limited fame it was on the wane. And they did this stunt for media attention. They pretended that their kid was trapped inside it, even though there's no way in God's earth that that balloon could have carried the weight of a child.
Right.
But yeah, it flew off, and when it landed, no kid was found, and the kid was supposedly found in the attic, I think it was.
Yeah, hiding, because, what's the kid gonna do?
Anyways, eventually it was discovered to be, of course, a hoax, a pretty malicious one that wasted a lot of emergency resources.
Yeah.
And put a lot of people in danger, too, trying to chase down this goddamn balloon.
Right. That eventually landed 50 miles away from home. Yeah. From the house that it had taken off.
So, I mean, think about all the municipalities, all the jurisdictions involved in this now.
Exactly.
The father was, and I'm not going to attempt to say his name because I'm going to say it funny.
That's why I left the pronunciation in.
But the pronunciation doesn't help me.
Oh.
Is it Heine or Heaney?
I think it's Heaney.
Heaney. We'll just say Heaney because...
Richard Heaney.
I'm too immature to not laugh at Heine.
Yeah.
Spent 90 days in jail and faced a $34,000 fine for quote-unquote attempting to influence a public servant. His wife served 20 weekend days in jail.
Yeah. Which I didn't know they had weekend jail.
Yeah, I didn't know there was such thing as weekend jail. That's a new concept to me, too.
Isn't it?
Weekend jail?
Yeah.
Thought there was just jail and... not jail.
Exactly. Maybe
Maybe Monopoly lied to me. Maybe we should have weekend jail on the Monopoly board.
Maybe. But.
Anyway. So why do we tell all these stories? Many of them quite malicious hoaxes that were intended to con people.
Right.
We're not in an industry that seeks to con people. Why are we telling these stories? Well, the reason is actually quite simple. Is because... hoaxes and urban legends play directly into our industry. They are a big part of why haunted houses have the appeal they do.
Right.
That the macabreness of it, the uncanniness of it at times. And that is something that we have to understand and have to learn how to exploit while doing so ethically.
Yeah.
And it's the last part that most of these hoaxes did not do.
No, they weren't even trying.
They weren't even trying. They were just outright scamming. But by studying them and looking at why people believed them,
right,
looking at how they set up the hoax, you can devise ways to have people, talk about your legends, your themes. And we've always kind of lived on that edge. I mean, we've all grew up, I think anyone of a certain age has heard about that legendary haunt that's 13 stories tall or 20 stories, it changes. Yeah. And takes you 2 hours to go through, and if you can get out without asking to be let out, they give you your ticket back, money back, and something. Yeah, that never existed. Right. That's a shitty business model for a haunt. Just stop and actually think about that.
Right, exactly.
It's $100 to go in, but if you make it out, we give it back?
Yeah. No.
No, that's not how this industry works.
This isn't an eating challenge.
No. Just no. That's not how this industry works. But yeah, nonetheless, Hell's Gate near Chicago co-opted that story.
Yeah.
And they took ownership of it.
Right.
And said, we were that haunt, even though Hell's Gate did not physically exist until 6 months before it opened and started talking about it.
Exactly.
It's literally built on site deep in the woods near Chicago. So deep you have to take a shuttle bus to get there.
Exactly.
But it really helped kickstart the haunt. Now, it was a Zombie Army production, so it's a good haunt, and obviously it was always going to be a great haunt.
Right.
But think about it, they had a real challenge. Chicago has a lot of really good haunted houses, including other Zombie Army ones.
Yeah.
And they opened up Hell's Gate in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Pretty much, yeah.
How do you get a lot of people to go to your haunt?
Yeah.
Well, they pulled it off.
They did.
And they did it in part by playing off of this legend and doing so in a relatively ethical way. By saying, everyone's heard that story, well, come to Hell's Gate.
Yeah.
Type thing. But here's the thing, there have been tons of other, just looking at the haunts locally. There have been hoaxes and urban legends that surround the haunts. Some started by the haunts, some not.
Right.
Most not started by the haunt, actually.
Yeah.
House of Shock, back when it was open, was rumored to have had someone die in it for being too scared.
Right.
That did not actually happen.
No.
They had, and this is a very typical thing.
Right.
For haunted houses, actually.
Yeah,
it's very common for someone to have either a heart attack or some kind of heart issue or a panic attack or something like that. And the EMTs, that's why you have the EMTs there. They get them and then they're fine. They never pass out. They never really, nothing super bad happens.
Right.
But the House of Shock sure as hell never sent a press release disavowing someone died.
Oh, no.
Now, if reporters asked directly about it, they would say we've had people, collapse or have panic attacks or mild heart attacks, whatever, after leaving or inside the haunt, but they've always been rescued. They would tell the truth.
Yeah.
But they didn't go out of their way to dispel the rumor.
No.
That'd be stupid.
Yeah.
Mortuary supposedly is actually haunted. It helps by the fact it is an old mortuary.
Yes, it is an old mortuary. You do go through where they would prepare the bodies and store them whenever you go through the haunted house. And they have the quote-unquote real ghost hunter people.
You can spend the night and do ghost hunty stuff. They also have escape rooms that are ghost themed, the ghost lab and so forth.
Yeah, they have some kind of certification from some group that says, yeah, this place is actually haunted.
Yeah, so they are actively playing up that rumor.
Right.
And that urban legend. And apparently, as we found out a few years ago, we have an urban legend about our haunt.
Right.
Where there's two ways that children go through it.
Yes.
The long way and the short way, and the long way is apparently really terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you don't make it out of the long way.
I don't know how that got started.
I don't know either. Possibly because of so many people going, we've still got more? Well, because I hear that multiple times every year.
Oh, multiple times a night every year.
Yeah.
Well, it's always mind-blowing to me, the number of people in the front of the line, they're like, this is it? It's just a garage?
Yep.
And then you hear them 2 rooms in. Wait, it's still going?
Uh-huh.
I think we've been referred to as a TARDIS.
Yeah.
On multiple occasions. In fact, I recall someone coming out and going, what is up with this TARDIS shit?
Yes.
Word for word what they said.
Yeah.
Well, we do a lot with very little. Shut up.
Yeah,
We're very good at this.
Yeah.
But I think one of the reasons is because there is a lot of variance.
Right.
In time. People who bolt through it can be out in 20 seconds, 20, 30 seconds. Most groups take about a minute. Mm-hmm. But some groups...
Yeah.
Some groups take a wee bit longer.
Yeah. Some groups get too scared to go forward.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the thing is this, urban legends and these hoaxes can help your haunt in a lot of different ways. It gives your haunt a unique element that others can't trivially copy or co-opt.
Right.
Every haunt can claim to be the scariest. Every haunt can claim to be the baddest or whatever. Not every haunt can claim to be the home of the Rougarou.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And best of all, this is something that is free. Mm-hmm. An urban legend, a hoax, whatever you want to call it, is free. You can start your rumors and fables right now on your website, on your social media. You can get this going and get people talking about them. But you do have to be smart about it, both in terms of you don't want to screw yourself over and you don't want to cross ethical lines.
Yeah.
Basically, first off, you don't want the rumor to be that your haunt is actually unsafe.
Right.
It's very important, like the House of Shock rumor we talked about. The rumor was the guy got so scared, or the woman, or whatever it was, got so scared they had a heart attack, right? It wasn't that they fell through the floorboards of a poorly built haunt and died.
No.
That's a big difference between those two things.
Right.
You don't want it to be that your customers are in actual, literal danger.
Yeah.
Because there's a big difference between going on a roller coaster that looks really, really scary and terrifying and a roller coaster that's actually falling apart.
There is a big difference there, yes.
You want to be the former, not the latter.
Yeah.
So and also it can't actually be harmful to anyone. You don't want to be duping people, or just outright conning them. And you don't want to make sure your rumor or whatever it is does not harm any living people, any real people or living relatives of those people.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to be careful with this in New Orleans to make sure that we choose stories from New Orleans history. There are no living people that knew them.
Right.
Basically, we tried not to take anything, from the recent history. And then the New Orleans history is more than old enough. We're never going to run out. We'll probably die in 100 and still be doing a story a year.
Yeah, exactly.
No real problem, right?
No.
And also it helps because it makes it easier to avoid being disproved if you set it further back.
Right.
You set something back 10 years or so, people go, wait a minute, there's nothing on the internet about that.
Yeah.
You're lying. But if you set it back, 120 years, it's a little more difficult to disprove.
Right.
And it gives a little more squickiness and lets people have more fun with it.
Yeah, and the best stories are always a little bit of truth and a lot of embellishment.
Yep. And then that's the wink and the nod element.
Yeah.
You don't want people to actually believe it.
No.
You're not trying to start a religion here. You're not trying God help you.
Yeah.
You're not trying to start a cult. You're not trying to start a religion. You're not trying to actually directly con people into believing this is true. The ideal space is for people to wonder if it could be true, or even better, for them to want it to be true.
Right.
I know it's not true, but I want it to be true, because that makes it, if they want it to be true, then when they walk into that haunt, they are going to suspend disbelief so quickly.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Yeah, it is.
So all in all, that's a good look at some popular hoaxes. Try to figure out how some of these can apply to your haunt and how you can use them ethically, these tactics ethically. Like I said, most of the hoaxes throughout history have been for very, very unethical reasons. Though I did love the guy, I think it was in Alaska, who dumped a bunch of tires in a volcano and set them alight and make them think the volcano was erupting. That was one that didn't come up, and I was kind of surprised, but it was like, oh yeah.
You could have added it in.
I should have. I just now remembered it, though. Because that was a genuine... He wasn't trying to,
I think he was trying to terrify people.
Well, no, and what happened is he wrote the tires out to say April Fools. So when the helicopter went over to see what was going on with the volcano, it said April Fools in big letters. That's a lot of fucking work for an April Fool's joke.
That is. Yeah, maybe
gotta admire the effort, though.
Maybe on April Fools we'll revisit some of the bigger pranks that have been pulled that we didn't discuss in this episode.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if you want to catch that episode, if and when it should happen, follow us at hauntweekly.com. We are Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook. YouTube.com/hauntweekly is our YouTube channel. Also on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. So, until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this has been Haunt Weekly, episode 213, talking about hoaxes and urban legends and how you can spin them to help your haunt. We will see you guys next time.